think this is a very powerful creative exploration tool. If you first take a moment to understand archetypes, then appreciate that these tools understand archetypes and that you can use
Mm.
this shared language to workshop and build upon the assets that you need to create for your marketing.
Hello and welcome to Not Replaced Yet, episode 7. My name is Nick Bushkar and I'm here with my brother Jesse. Say hello, Jesse.
Hi, everyone. If this is your first time joining us, Nick and I have spent the last 30 years, it's hard for me to even say that, the last 30 years being tech nerds, the last 20 years being tech professionals, and the last 5 years building an AI focused agency working with some of the biggest brands around the globe. And now we're here to help you on your AI journey.
Today's episode is a big one because it's a kickoff to our AI marketing series. These days, there is no shortage of accounts, videos, tools that promise you instant ads, leads, and sales. But the truth is that is simply not enough. You cannot outsource your marketing to a tool that lacks full context. You need to understand the fundamentals first, and that foundation is what lets you actually use AI to its fullest power. Jesse, can you share a bit more about who this episode is actually for?
Absolutely, Nick. What you see on the screen here, if you're watching, is our AI engagement levels framework. Now, if you're just listening, you'll have to check this out on our website or on our social channels. But if you're watching, you see a multi-level framework here that Nick and I have come up with. Just caveating, this is a very early alpha version, but it is meant to define and describe layers of AI engagement, comfort, and confidence for any of you individually out there. As far as these levels go, you can start at the bottom and work your way up. The bottom 3 here, level -2 is a malicious user, level -1 is against AI, level 0 is not AI engaged. We're not going to talk about them today. Safe to say that they need to be represented on the framework because they do exist, and this is supposed to represent kind of the entire ecosystem. If you start at level one is a beginner, and level 2, intermediate. Those are the 2 levels we're going to talk about today. A beginner is someone who is AI curious. They want to learn. They're here for it. They just don't really know where to start, and they don't have a lot of confidence. And that's what this show is for. Same with intermediate. They've taken steps. They've developed some confidence. They understand some of the tools, and they're working hard to be relevant in this new age and hopefully make it to expert and higher. An expert is someone who can integrate all of these tools seamlessly. They have a real advanced understanding of the moving parts and a real comfort in this ecosystem. They're going to be very successful in the coming years when it comes to roles of all types and jobs of all types and industries of all types. So level 4, technical expert, really that's where Nick and I place ourselves in. It's kind of the highest level of understanding of all of the tools with also an understanding of the underlying technology, which helps kind of map the future to what's possible, what's probable, what's improbable, et cetera. And then level 5 and 6, these people are building the actual tools that this AI revolution is predicated upon, the open AIs and the Claude Anthropics, et cetera. So this is our AI engagement framework. We're going to be building this out and taking feedback and refining it. Nick, anything stand out that you'd like to say here?
Yeah, so truthfully, we hope to engage everyone on this scale. At least that's my goal, and I think you share that with me. Even the malicious user out there, I mean, if they're willing to hear an argument, then that would be nice. But please don't come at us. But if you're against AI, we want to try and make the case for you, and we would love to hear your arguments because that's what we want to do here is have like a good faith conversation about all of this. And if you're not engaged, we want to try to get you engaged. If you're a beginner, we want to move you up the row, and so on and so forth. And then, of course, we would love to talk to the luminaries in the space as well. So before we dive into the framework section, Jesse, do you have anything else you'd like to cover?
We put a lot of time into designing this content for people who are marketing from many, many perspectives, right? You could be a full-time marketer, but you also might be in a different field, right? Realtors have to market. If you're going for a grant and you're a scientist, you have to market. Like marketing is a base layer of business and productivity and growth. And so whether you're an intern, CMO, someone who doesn't think they're good at marketing, we hope that all of those levels can benefit from the content and examples and frameworks that we're about to share. You know what's always annoyed me? Content creators who say like and subscribe without actually giving people a reason that they should do so. I always swore that when I started creating content, I'd be different. So here goes. If you really enjoy this episode or you learn anything at all from what we share, please give us a like. It doesn't cost you anything, and it really does make a difference, and we very much appreciate it. If you want to see more of this type of content, please do subscribe. We're hard at work on expansions, extensions, and explainers and more. So don't sit on the sidelines while others jump ahead of you. Subscribe today and stay ahead of the curve. If anything in this episode particularly resonates with you, please do leave a comment. We promise to read and respond to every single one. We love receiving these. Also, if we missed something or we got something wrong, we also want you to comment. We're all in this together, and we, Nick and I, have a lot to learn too, so please leave those comments. And finally, I would ask you to share this post for one or both of two reasons. One, share this with anyone in your world who could benefit from creative AI education content, because that's what we're working on. Or two, share this with your whole social network, your peers, whomever, to show them that you're investing your own time in future fluency and that they should too. Thank you for your time and consideration. Now let's get back to the content.
Okay, so now we're going to dive into 3 different frameworks. First, we're going to talk about funnels, then we're going to go into personas, and finally, Jungian archetypes. Jesse, what can you tell us about funnels?
Funnels underlie pretty much all business strategy. If you go get an MBA, get a business degree from a post-secondary school, you are going to eat, sleep, and breathe funnels, whether that's sales funnels, click funnels, marketing funnels, however they funnelize it. If it can be funnelized, it will, right? So I'm going to share my screen and just show a simple funnel that I start with. It's a 5-stage funnel. Awareness, consideration, intent, conversion, and amplification. You can't buy something if you're not aware of it. You have to consider it before you actually say, yes, I'm going to buy it. That's intention. You have to get that conversion. If you've ever had skin in the game, you know that intent doesn't actually equal a sale. It's got to close, right? And then amplification. So someone's happy with it, they share it, and then it reaches someone else, and now they're aware of it too. And so the whole process starts over. I was sharing this with my 13-year-old, and I said, hey, I can give you a business degree in 30 seconds. Like, if you really grok this stuff, you understand a lot of the underlying psychology you're trying to nurture and interact with when it comes to sales. So that's basic funnels, and that's where AI comes in.
Absolutely. And like you said, Jesse, because these things are so well studied, so well understood, if you go to business school, you eat, sleep, and breathe them, the LLMs have trained on this information. And so they are perfect partners to have a conversation with about what funnels are, how funnels can help you, what kind of funnel you can or want to create. And so you really want to use ChatGPT, Claude, whoever, as your brainstorm partner when thinking and talking about funnels.
And to that end, we're going to share 2 examples with you today about how you can use AI to help refine your personas. We're going to be deep in ChatGPT today. We actually built a custom GPT. If you haven't used these are basically a sub project or a sub product off of ChatGPT where you can kind of tune it with some extra information. There was a moment in time where people thought this might be how the AI revolution would go, that these would be the apps of the AI era. That hasn't really panned out, but there are some pluses here. And so I'm going to go ahead and share to show you the GPT that we have created for this purpose. And we're going to share the link in the show notes and in all the social channels. So we encourage you to actually click through and have these same conversations. But here you'll see the synthetic strategist Steve. We took a ton of time and creative energy going into this to name this. And this image was the very first one that ChatGPT generated. One thing I'm going to do, a little housekeeping. You can see I'm in light mode here. I actually don't like light mode very much. I just figured that's how you all would see it most of the time. So I'm going to go into settings and change this to dark mode. I'm much more comfortable there. And so here you are, you see Strategic Strategist Steve, and we have our 3 shortcuts to get into a marketing support conversation. And today we're going to start, or right now we're going to start with funnel strategy. So here I'm going to show you when we click on Let's Dig into Funnel Strategy, this will wake up our GPT. Great choice. And then it'll tell you a little bit about why funnels matter, where the people dropping off, what messaging is needed at each stage, things that get you thinking like a marketer and thinking like a systematic marketer. And so even seasoned marketers, returning to the basics is always a good idea. So we've got a series of 3 questions in this GPT at this first level. So who is your primary audience or customer segment right now? So I'm going to use a fictional business here because I don't want to use any of our clients, and I don't know, fictional sounds good enough here. So I'm going to say there's a pop-up pizza experience that I would like to create in the future. It's something I would like to do. So I'm just going to say my primary audience is a, oh, I can't spell. This is going to be really great for the YouTubes. My primary audience is a lunch and dinner crowd on, oh boy, Wilmington Island, Georgia. I have a pop up pizza experience I want to bring to life. And let's see. Awesome. You're targeting a hyperlocal audience with a compelling food experience. That's a rich starting point. Thanks, GPT. What's the core value or emotional hook your pop up pizza experience offers this audience? Well, because it's a pop up, I would like to say it's going to be um, these are rare occasions for people in the know who want an exclusive experience. Because we don't have a storefront and we won't be selling pizza, you know, day to day. And then it asks us, what's the desired action you want people to take and what happens next? We want people to make reservations for the pop up experience as soon as it's announced, since there will be limited availability. So, as with all of these GPTs, you know, if you don't answer things super specifically, it can round these corners. And so, as much context as you want to put in, that's the quality of output. So, let's see. So, it gives us a strategic dossier card. It's actually supposed to give an image, so we'll ask it there. But it kind of maps out our audience and starts to understand what that funnel could look like. And so I'm going to say, can you make an image of that card? It's supposed to do that automatically. So if this GPT doesn't do that, ask it to. Great, the image is finished now. As you can see, strategic dossier card for our funnel foundations. And this word foundations is really important here because as basic as it is, a foundation where you're thinking about this, you're using AI as a brainstorm partner, it's going to put you head and shoulders above someone who's not doing that. So already out the gate, if you're a beginner, you're out ahead. If you look at some of the details, it got our hyper local area. We have lunch and dinner crowd, which I input, but then it has likely value, small town intimacy, word of mouth, quality over quantity. Those are all things that were added in that I didn't bring into the conversation. That was the AI itself. Things like feels cool to be included, I think, is really important for us to hit on if we're going to succeed. And like drive immediate reservations after each announcement. We need to have calls to action to allow people to do that. All really valuable stuff. Again, it's a foundation, but you're out ahead if you're thinking like this from my experience.
Yeah, I think all these details are really great. And something that occurred to me is I'd like to see this put back into that initial funnel structure that we just saw. So could you actually ask it to do that, to map this output then to the 5 layer funnel, the awareness, the intent, etc.?
Yeah, absolutely, Nick. I'm not going to ask for the 5 stage because actually, not all funnels are 5 stages. But to your point, that would be a really useful step here. So let's go ahead and say, please make an image that maps these details to an actual funnel diagram. Now you can see this image is finished and we do have an actual funnel map here. We're generating 4 stages according to GPT-4o here. Awareness for locals on Wilmington Island that there's an exclusive pop-up pizza experience and it's a rare occasion with limited availability. Engagement here is we're engaging with the end users by text messaging them. They're starting to talk about channels, which is what we're going to get into. I'm using some urgency language like immediately. Consideration is around FOMO, so there's limited spots, and again, reinforcing that urgency. to take the bookings now, all caps. That means it's important. And then the conversion would be the actual reservation. So this is a decent start, right? This is, you can build a lot from here, and that's what we're going to do next. But like again, as a starting point, be thinking like this because you have to pull people through their psychology in these funnel stages. And I'm not sure why this network error occurred because it actually did make the image, but it asks if you would like to go deeper. So if you're using this GPT, there is a second tier of our funnel exercise, and that is to start mapping channels because awareness where, right? Awareness on Facebook, awareness on a billboard, awareness anywhere. And so, yes, we want to go ahead and map some channels. What can I tell you to help me map this out? So it's going to help us understand some details by asking a question or two or three. Here we go. So we've got 3 questions. Okay. What are your top 3 preferred or most accessible marketing channels? So it gives you some examples. Which of these channels do you already use and which are you open to testing? And 3, do you have any key assets or tools already in place? So we're just going to say 1, I'm proficient in social media marketing, and I know a lot of people in the area, so word of mouth makes sense. Okay, and then number 2, and a quick tip, Shift Enter will do a line break. If you hit Enter, it will have submitted that, but Shift Enter will let you keep typing here. Which of the channels do you already use? We don't use any channels since this isn't a real business yet. And then number 3, do you have any key assets or tools already in place? We've reserved a website, but don't have it built yet. Cool. So we're talking about channels, our strengths, and it should, and what we've instructed the GPT to do is to actually generate a table that is exactly what it's doing here. So it kind of restates what I said in its own languages here. And then we get this really great funnel and channels table, Wilmington Pizza pop-up. And then we have awareness, engagement, consideration, and conversion. And so we have Instagram, word of mouth, and our website coming soon. So this is a matrix now of our psychological funnel stages that all of the people that we're trying to model are in. And the columns here are the different channels that we're going to activate on. And so obviously this is like a really quick example, but if you apply these things to your business, it helps clarify intention and tactics and strategies so that you're really purposeful. And it's important because your time and money are all you have to invest here.
So this data that we're seeing right here is, well, it's really just a table inside of ChatGPT, and that's fine. It's very helpful. But our next example that we're going to walk through, we're actually going to show you how you can pull this out of ChatGPT and have this framework persist so it can be more useful for you. So Jesse, talk to us a bit about personas.
Yeah, absolutely. Personas is the second framework, or are the second framework. A persona is a second framework we're going to discuss today. And a persona is really getting to know your potential customers at a deep and personal level, as deep and personal as can be. We're going to focus pretty high level, right? So if you're a marketing strategist and you have lived and breathed personas, don't get upset. We're not going to 10 out of 10 on this one, but we'll focus on demographics and psychographics. You need to know who your customers, potential customers are, and how they think and how they approach things and how they approach business and purchase decisions, really. So what we're going to do is we're going to segue. Now let's talk about personas, right? And if you recall at the beginning, if you're just jumping in and want to jump straight there, these are not necessarily linear. You can just hit that shortcut about digging into personas. So first, our GPT will talk about the value, right? A well-crafted persona brings clarity to your messaging, offers an overall vibe. And so we've got some questions. Describe one real or imagined person who would definitely show up to your pop-up. Okay, this guy eats at restaurants every weekend in our area, probably with a social crew they know well. And, I know Wilmington Island, they're likely getting drinks with their meal. Yeah, and you know, money is an important decision factor, but not necessarily prohibitive. I don't know. Does that sound right to you, Nick? Somebody that's going to eat at the pizza joint,
Yeah.
checking out. Great. This person is a social diner, tuned to the scene. Okay, cool. So, question number 2: what do they get out of coming to your pop up that they don't get elsewhere? Well, the quality of pizza and diversity of ingredients is a big selling point. Plus, the exclusive nature gives them something to brag about. That was a little slow, but excellent. This persona craves culinary distinction and social capital. They're there for the flavor and flex. Number 3: what might hold them back from coming, even if they're interested? Um, I was just going to say awareness is really key because of the sporadic visibility of our offerings. Um, Otherwise, the limited seating nature would prohibit them. That might be a non answer, but I think it's accurate. Here's the answer. Your persona is motivated, but dependent on timing and visibility. If they don't see it now, they'll miss out. So, a strategic dossier card, persona snapshot. We talk about the local flavor seekers, social group diner, 30s and 40s. They enjoy local hotspots, pair meals with drinks, values quality, variety, and vibe, price aware but not deal driven. They desire rare foodie moments. They desire local insider status, desire something worth posting or talking about, and barriers they miss out due to inconsistent visibility, limited seating causing hesitation if not to act quickly. Um, yeah, I would like to see the dossier card. Thank you, GPT. Dossier card, please.
Yeah, so here we see a persona dossier. We have the local flavor seeker, and it got the profile, the social group diner, enjoys local hotspots, pairs meals with drinks, all the things that Jesse talked about. Then it went into desires, the rare foodie moments, local insider status, etc. And then finally the barriers, misses out due to inconsistent visibility and limited seating. And so these graphics can be helpful. I know I like things like this in graphic form. And so, Jesse, where would you go from here?
Well, one thing I want to say before we go to the intermediate level, because this is the beginner kind of prompting and back and forth. Um, think how helpful this is if it's not just you, right? If you're a business owner and you are trying to give instruction and guidance to your team, this is really kind of unifying. It gives a shared definition, a shared language for everyone to know what to aim for. So don't just think of this as, well, I already know these answers, so I don't need an asset like this. I mean, this is to operationalize these things, not just to have the ideas, right?
Okay, so earlier I alluded to the fact that you could have this data, this framework persist outside of ChatGPT. And so now, Jesse, I'm going to toss it over to you, and you're going to show us what we're actually talking about.
Yeah, this is more intermediate than beginner. It is not. It does not require technical chops, but it does start getting into some technical things. So don't be afraid. It's not going to be overwhelming. We're going to build a simple scenario. We're going to use some tools here. So at this point in our recording, we capture a pretty in-depth tutorial of how to use Make.com, a great no or low code tool that connects apps together in order to automate workflows, to generate marketing personas into a spreadsheet so that they can be integrated into true planning processes, not just brainstorming or copy paste pasta. This tutorial is about a half hour long, so we decided to break it out of episode 7 and publish it separately on its own. Please do check out the full tutorial if you're an intermediate user or higher, and we'll skip ahead so that you can see the full results of the persona work that we accomplished with this tutorial. Here we go. And we hit save, and let's go ahead and run the whole shebang. And what you should see, which I enjoy doing this, is sit on this narrative tab. Oh, we already got Dennis. Dennis is our first narrative, and it's still running, and there'll be a second one. Tiana is our second narrative. We'd love to see it. And Marisol is number 3. Interesting. I didn't have Wilmington Island pass through there, and so I'm looking at where these people are. But let's run through this. Dennis says, I've been working maintenance at the local school district for the past 17 years. Before that, I bounced around a bit, did roofing, some landscaping, even worked second shift at a factory outside town. The school gig's been good to me, though. Decent benefits, steady hours, and I don't mind being on my feet. Everyone knows me around here, and I like the feeling that I keep the place running, even if the kids just see me as the guy with the keys. Got two kids of my own, both out of the house now. One's in the Navy, the other's waitressing in Des Moines. I'm proud of them, though. I wouldn't mind seeing them more often. Right? This is why I call it a narrative, is because it's what AI is great at, is kind of filling in the gaps of these things, taking input and translating it to output. So now we have three narratives, and in future videos, we're going to show you how to actually speak with these people. How do you talk to Dennis and ask Dennis's opinions on things? But for the scope of this video, we've generated both persona characteristics, which again, to recap, these are fairly random for this exercise, but you should bring in the reality. And using our GPT, you should be able to translate your kind of gut knowledge of your customer or your current perspective into a state that can be more systematic, and then translate over to even transcending ChatGPT and being in a data structure that you can use in infinite number of ways.
All right, thanks so much, Jesse. I mean, you might be able to see that that system is really powerful, and we are going to dive much deeper into the make world as well as other tools in that space in the near future. And so this is just the beginning of that. And so we're going to do tutorials on how to make those connections that Jesse was talking about GPT and much more. And so at this point, I think we want to transition over to our final framework, and that is Jungian archetypes. Jesse, have you caught your breath from all that work so far? What can you tell us about Jungian archetypes?
Yeah. The persona stuff. I know it took a minute. If anyone wants to go watch the full tutorial, please do. Hopefully, it's valuable. But Jungian archetypes are my favorite, I think, or one of my very favorite frameworks. I do just want to say shout out to Richard Leslie. He's the one who introduced me to Jungian archetypes, chief strategy officer at my old agency. Now he's running his own shop, and just a brilliant dude. So if you're a Jungian archetype geek, I'd love to talk to you, but I know Rich has got a deep well of expertise. Jungian archetypes were introduced by Carl Jung. Carl Jung, a contemporary of Sigmund Freud. The short version that I'm aware of is that Freud said, let's explain people's behavior as if they were all sick. And Jung said, let's explain people's behavior as if they're all sane or not sick. And so there's just different flavors of psychology, obviously, but an archetype is really a motivation, a personality motivation, or a way to explain someone's motivation, how they gravitate towards certain things, certain emotions, certain aspects. As with personas, we're not going all the way down deep. This is meant to be an introduction to the idea. And so you may have heard the hero's journey. You may have heard explorer archetype or caregiver archetype or rebel archetype. These things used in common parlance, but brands actually take advantage of archetype tools as well. And so there's archetype wheel art or graphics that I'm going to share here, and the visual makes it super. Oh, that's not the window I want. The visual makes it super clear, at least relative to the non-visual here. If I zoom in a step, let's see if I can zoom in just a step here. Um, Basically, this is a wheel of 12 brand usable archetypes. And the one that I think is the clearest to hit home for me was the Rebel and Harley Davidson. So we've all seen people wearing Harley Davidson leather jackets that are getting out of a Ford F-150. They're not actually driving the motorcycle necessarily, but Harley represents a rebelliousness that individual is gravitating towards and is actually reflecting back into the world by wearing a Harley Davidson jacket or hat or t-shirt, right? And so, why are they doing that? They're not doing it because of the pure mechanical expertise of the Harley Davidson motorcycle. It's a brand, an emotional connection. Nike is the hero. It's just do it. You could look across their campaigns. There is someone saving the day as the hero, right? Apple as the creator, just to a T. Um, I channel iPod ads, I channel modern Apple ads, but they are all about empowering the individual to be the best creator, inventor, whatever your creative medium is. Apple wants to position themselves, and they have positioned their brand as the creator archetype. Or Jeep as the explorer. You don't see Jeeps, uh, you know, driving around, business, sections of town, right? They're out in the wilderness, in the Sahara and the Serengeti. And so an archetype is a framework that lets us map our brand elements and our brand essences to the human motivation we're trying to appeal to. One thing I love about the archetype wheel is that brands fit into the archetypes, whether their marketing departments understand it or have ever even heard of Jungian archetypes or not, right? Like if you are marketing, you are appealing to motivation, and then we can map. You could have a schizophrenic archetypal, kind of left, right, center, depending on the ad, but we can still use that to, gauge strategies and use for ourselves.
Oh, okay. And I actually want to reiterate something that I said earlier about the funnels. So, just like with funnels, for Jungian archetypes, this type of information, this data has been sucked up by all the LLMs. They have trained on this information, and so they are perfect partners to have a conversation with about these things. Do you want to dive into Jungian archetypes deeper? Go ahead and ask it, right? Explain, tell me about the origin story. Tell me about each one. How can I think about these things differently? I mean, you can really dive deep and actually go in different ways. And from there, I mean, we're not going to talk about it in this video, but you can ask it about other frameworks as well. There's Big Five, and Jesse, what else are there? What
I
else?
mean, Octalysis is my favorite, but
Octalysis,
there's, yeah,
exactly.
lots of frameworks.
So just remember, just like with the funnels, use these apps as your brainstorm partners for your archetypes.
Yeah, 100%. So I'm going to share my screen again, and we're going to jump right back into the basic exercise for our GPT that we created. And I've started a new chat here just to clear the context window, but let's dig into archetypal exploration. So this will be our first instance. Excellent choice. Exploring brand archetypes helps you connect more deeply with your audience by channeling timeless psychological patterns. One thing about archetypes is they if you buy into it, right? The one of the ideas here is that they are culturally agnostic. Like archetypes are true in Asia and in America and in Africa. Like cultural and time, neither are supposed to change these. That is Jung's kind of perspective, and this is how this framework is used. So, question number one for our archetypal investigation: what emotional experience do you most want your audience to feel when they interact with your brand? Uh, well, since this is a pop-up experience with, um, irregular scheduling, they should be happy they found us since the experiences are so rare. Okay, we're just again describing our business. We don't have to really understand archetypes to engage here because that's the value the AI is bringing in. So question number two, what is the deeper promise your brand makes to its audience beyond the product or service? Think in terms of transformation, identity, or belief. What does someone become or feel as a result of engaging with you? We hope that they have the best pizza they've ever had and that it heightens their expectations for future engagements. Next time you eat pizza, we want them to remember ours. Beautiful. You're not just delivering meal, you're reshaping the standard. And question number three, if your brand were a person at a dinner party, how would they behave? Ooh, interesting. Would they command the room, be mysterious in the corner, tell jokes, drop truth bombs? That's a tough one. If they were a person, they would probably have unexpected stories to share while still appreciating the company around them without alienating or overwhelming. That seems like my kind of vibe, so that's how I would describe it. Perfect. That presence, charming but grounded, intriguing but never alienating, adds important nuance. It gives us our strategic card readout. It says, "Would you like me to generate the dossier card?" And it gives us some. Ready for it? I'm just going to say, yeah.
Okay, and so here we have our dossier card. And so it took all of that information and now we have our dominant archetypes. This is what we're going to use to appeal to people. And the archetypes here are magician and explorer. And then it gave us an emotional tone, which is joyful. I really like that. It gave a brand promise, which is a transcendent culinary experience, and the narrative persona is an enchanting raconteur with unexpected stories to share. That's funny. And so, what we have here is we have a direction, and I think that's really important. It's something to use to curate and craft these next steps. And so, Jesse, where would you go from this point?
Yeah, I would say this is the line between basic and intermediate, right? Like if you're just starting out, then this is going to give you a million miles head start on someone who hasn't been introduced to these frameworks and certainly who isn't using AI to help brainstorm. From here, you have to appreciate there's a lot of subjectivity in archetypal investigation. And maybe I don't feel like the magician explorer, right? Maybe the inputs that I gave were channeling that, but maybe that's not right for me. And actually, I want to explore some others. So, what I like to do with ChatGPT is have it kind of generate a range of archetypal assets. And so let's have it one say, okay, let's spell it right. Channeling those primary archetypes. Please render a draft logo for my business, Jesse's Pop-Up Pizza. Okay. So what we want is we just want it to bring this to life through the lens of the magician explorer. All right, the image is finished now. A little on the nose, discover the magic with explorer magician. And I'm not sure what this caelus is here. I wonder if that's something Latin, I guess. But it did get it right. Find our pop-up and experience the best pizza you've ever had. It took the brand tenants that I put in. It's got the archetypes. And I like the starry sky and the mountains. I mean, that is interesting. We wouldn't use it in Wilmington Island, but I'm kind of using this GPT in fits and spurts here. So Nick, is there another archetype that you think we could try here to illustrate the point we're making?
Yeah, for sure. Knowing the location myself, I think I want to go with everyman. Try that.
Ooh, everyman. Okay, good deal. So let's say, great. Now let's try a different archetypal approach. What would this ad look like when viewed through the lens of the everyman archetype? Keep in mind this will be used in, let's just say, Savannah, Georgia, since Wilmington Island's a little bit obscure. Great. Now the image is finished, and remember, this is through the everyman archetypal lens. And I did say Savannah, Georgia, so it's got some trees, some coastal trees, some branches, a little smallish cityscape in the background. So it's getting it right. It still has this weird caelus in here, which
Yeah.
is, we looked it up. It's a masculine Roman name that means sky. So there's something happening in the AI there. But again, this is very different, right? If I scroll up here, that is not this. Magician explorer, there's not people, there's starry skies, wide open spanses and things. Here we have just, a man and a woman enjoying a pizza on a bench, like you do. So let's do one more. Okay. So, okay, that's not my cup of tea. Let's try a more extreme combo, the rebel lover. Here's our Rebel Lover Instagram ad. Experience heavenly pizza. find our pop up and taste pizza worth sinning for. Man, that is a commitment. It's funny. It seems like it might violate OpenAI's terms of service, but we got it there. So yeah, this is another way to investigate your archetypal resonance and expression, because it is. I think her hands backwards. I think her thumbs on the.
Mm.
Am I wrong? Anyway, yeah, I think this is a very powerful creative exploration tool if you first take a moment to understand archetypes, then appreciate that these tools understand archetypes, and that you can use this shared language to workshop and build upon the assets that you need to create for your marketing.
All right, we're going to come to a close now because we've covered so much and yet there's so much more to go through. And as I said at the top of this episode, this is simply part one in our AI marketing series. So far, we've talked about funnels, personas, and Jungian archetypes. And we have created a custom GPT that we're going to share with you that you can use and talk to. We've also gone through a make.com scenario, and we are actually dropping that full make.com tutorial in tandem with this episode. And so we're going to probably put a link here or somewhere that you can actually click on and go watch that full tutorial. And then in the next episode, we're going to talk about how we're going to actually put everything into action. And to tease one of the things that I'm excited about most is we're actually going to go through the pros and cons of synthetic A/B tests. And we're going to do that in order to make so you can make the most of your media investments. Jesse, any other thing that you'd like to tease about the next episode?
No, I think it's just about action and about making the most of your media campaigns, whether that's paid or organic. Because if you're in marketing, what you care about is the results. So these planning things are great to have your feet underneath you. But when the rubber hits the road, meaning the dollars are on the line, there's a lot more to dig into. And we're excited to get into that with you next episode.
If you've made it this far, thank you so much. We are building, not replaced yet, and we need your help. Please like and comment. That lets the algorithm know that it should send this out to as many people as possible. We need your help to spread the word. Please follow so you get part two. Part two will drop soon. Part three is coming after that, and there's more content to come. And most importantly, if you know someone who you think would benefit from this content, please share it with them. We're trying to spread the word and we cannot do it without you. Thank you so much for watching. And this has been episode 7, your part 1 series from Not Replaced Yet in AI marketing.